Are you exhausted? Not just tired. I'm talking soul crushing, no amount of sleep can help kind of exhausted. Like you could just cry and you don't know why kind of exhausted. If that sounds familiar, know that you're not alone. And in today's video, we're going to talk about why you feel this way and more importantly, what to do about it. So, hi, my name is Emily. I'm a therapist in private practice and a slow living enthusiast. And in today's video, we are really getting down into the depths of exhaustion. But here's what we're not going to talk about in this podcast style video. We are not talking about the benefits of sleep, the effect of caffeine, all that jazz. Is it super important? 100% yes. Do you already know about this? Probably 100% yeah, I would say. So, we're actually going a bit deeper than that into why maybe you can't fall asleep at night. What is actually keeping you up, keeping you exhausted? So, the first thing, and we're talking about four things today, but the first thing I want to talk about is cognitive overload. So, that's the idea of having a constant input in your brain. You're almost become the administrative assistant to your life. So instead of having a Google Calendar, baby, you are the Google Calendar. You remember all the doctor's appointments, you remember all of the meetings you have, all the chores you have to do, all the meetings everybody else has and all the other people's doctor's appointments, like you keep it all in there. Like everything's in there. And if I were to compare it to something, it would be like your phone or your computer when you have all the tabs open on your browser. And I don't know about you, but me sometimes I will keep tabs open for a long time, for a very long time, in case I need it, because it's probably important, because I might need to refer to it one day, right? And so we keep a lot of tabs open. But then what happens when we keep all these tabs open? Well, your computer and your phone start to slow down, start to glitch, start to not work as well. The pages themselves probably don't load as well. And then you go and, for me, you talk to your IT husband and he's like, close your tabs, turn your phone on and off, you know? Same thing for your brain, right? Like when you have all these tabs open in your brain, yeah, you're going to get mental fatigue. That's just a non negotiable. And you're not going to be able to even function as well with the tabs, remembering what's in them, accessing them, and just functioning in your day to day life. So, what happens is we treat our brain in this way where we're telling it to keep all this input, but the brain was not designed to act in this way. It wasn't designed to hold on to everything. And I think we do it in a sense because it kind of gives us a sense of control in a world that is so outside of our control. If we can hold on to the information in our head, then we feel like we have a semblance of control. But I want you to know that you're doing more harm to yourself than good. And that is a big reason, probably, why you feel so exhausted. So, just as you would go through your tabs on your phone and you would look at what's up on your tabs that are like not really needed, not really important, you would you would close those tabs, right? You would close the ones that aren't actually important. You do the same thing with the tabs in your brain. What tabs are you keeping open that are really not needed to be open? And you start closing those as well, and you start making room for the ones that are priorities. So you keep an eye on what the priorities are, the tabs you must keep open, let's say, and the rest we close. And if it's really difficult for you, because it can be, you can try a couple different things. You can try writing them down somewhere. I keep a to-do list that's outside of my brain. You could do a brain dump at the end of the night. You could just write all these things down before you go to bed, just to get them out. So you don't feel like you have to hold on to them. So you don't feel like you have to keep going through them like a Rolodex. And I don't know if I just aged myself by saying Rolodex, but anyway. And another thing you want to do is create boundaries around what you're consuming, the information you're consuming, and just all the input, right? That's why boundaries are so important because you're protecting your asset. So don't let everything in. There's some information that doesn't need to be in your brain, that doesn't need to be held there, or it can be go in and go out. You don't need to hold on to everything. Um, I know it's very hard when you have anxiety. I have anxiety, but you'll feel much better if you close some of those tabs. The other second thing that I want to talk about is decision fatigue. So this idea of having too many choices. And this has gotten worse as society has moved forward because in the past, there weren't that many options of things. Now you go to a store looking for a white shirt and you probably have 10 different options of white shirt that you have to figure out what you want to choose. And it's the worst for me. I'm an anxious person, so I'm a very indecisive person. So giving me more options, not good. You better believe I like Google search the pros and cons of each option and then end up not buying anything. Right? I hate it when there's too many decisions. And what happens is that it's not just the clothes we wear or the stores we go and visit, but it's in our world every single day. On a day to day basis, you make hundreds of decisions, if not more, right? You decide what you're going to wear, what you're going to eat, if you're going to take the elevator or if you're going to take the stairs. And other decisions, right? You make so many decisions. It's so exhausting. And then you get home and you have to decide what's for supper. And that's usually the needle that breaks the camel's back, right? Because you've made all these decisions in a day, you're depleted, you are really again mentally fatigued, and then you have to decide what's for supper. I don't know about you, but there has been many times where I get to supper time and I have to figure out what's for supper and I start crying. And my husband's like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "I don't know." Right? But what it was that I was just fatigued. I couldn't fathom having to make another decision, no matter how mundane it is. That's why choosing something on Netflix is hard for people sometimes. We joke about, you're scrolling through net. Choosing is hard. Making a decision is a hard thing to do. Asking somebody to make 100 decisions in a day, yeah, that's going to put a lot of pressure on you, no matter how difficult or mundane the decisions are. And so, what can really help with this are a couple of things. So, the first one is making some routines in your day. Some things making them not needing a decision, right? So, my husband and I, we have a routine for bedtime and wake up with my daughter. So we don't have to go like, are you doing this part? Are you doing that part? We already know. We already know the steps. We don't have to, we just go through the steps of what it is. And that's really, really helpful. It could be also, if knowing what to eat in the morning is really difficult for you, just predetermine what your meal is going to be or options of meals. And when I say options of meals, that brings me to another point of what you can do to help in these kinds of situations where you're experiencing decision fatigue. It would be simplifying your options. I've been reading a lot of sales books, and some of them say that you don't give three options. If you give three options to someone, they'll tend to buy no options. But if you give two options, they'll tend to buy one, right? So even the sales show it that you can't give too many options to people because they just decide not to choose. I guess which is just a decision on their own, but they decide not to choose. So simplify your options. Maybe on nights where you just really cannot figure out what to make for supper, you always keep two backup options. A frozen pizza and I don't know, breakfast for supper. I love breakfast for supper. It's like my favorite meal. But yeah, now I want breakfast for supper. Okay, anyway, back to the video. Two backup options. And then I usually get my husband to pick. The person who's not feeling overwhelmed, I get that person to pick. Usually my husband. He's not anxious like me. So that would be another really good thing is just simplify the options. If you had to pick out what to wear, only pick from two different outfit options. And that comes, I think, from decluttering your home too can help a lot because by simplifying your life, simplifying your calendar, simplifying your home, you have less decisions to make. And the other thing would be prioritizing, learning to prioritize things through your values. So my value is family and it's taking care of my well-being. So when I have a decision to make, I usually pass it through those values because then I know what are priorities and what are not. And so then decisions become like almost nothing. If I'm exhausted, like right now I have a cold. I know you can't tell because I'm so eloquent, but I'm kidding. I have a cold. And if somebody were to be like, "Oh, you want to hang out?" I'd be like, "Nope." Nope, because I need to prioritize my health right now, and I want to be fully present for my daughter, for my husband, and I can't do that if I'm using my energy somewhere else. So basing yourself around your priorities can really, really help. I'm going to take a sip now that I mentioned my cold. Okay. The third thing that's probably keeping you exhausted is the emotional labor. Now, this is going to be going out to all my highly sensitive peeps out there, or the people who are feel things so much stronger than everybody else, who are told that they're too sensitive, who are told that they have to build a thicker, like grow a thicker skin or whatever. Yeah, this is for you. And anybody else who's carrying an invisible load, right? So we might think of like the parent who is the house manager, meaning the one who's taking care of the groceries, the cleaning, the all of that, right? The invisible load of it all. So what happens if you're a highly sensitive person, or you are just somebody who carries the emotional load a lot, is you spend a lot of time managing relationships with others. You spend a lot of time reading the social cues from others and anticipating needs. So that might look like always being, want to be really present for your partner, really being, reading them, trying to see if they're okay. Same thing with your friends. You might be the person who's like, are you okay? Are you mad at me? you know, um, and always trying to be present for others. And these are like really, really beautiful gifts that you have to give to the world, but they are depleting. They're very, very depleting. As a therapist, I think that is like, I'm a highly sensitive person. I'm a therapist, and obviously I do have these traits, which I think is why I'm an effective therapist. But I do need to create boundaries around that, or else it will deplete me. Because if I'm constantly attuned to other people, then when am I attuned to myself? And when do I get to rest? So, the first thing is being aware if you are doing these things where you're so attuned to others that it's depleting your energy. And you have to set those emotional boundaries with others sometimes. I've had it, and I've clients in the past who are maybe not doing well, but they have another friend or family member who's really not doing well, and they are just don't know what to do. And sometimes those clients have to set boundaries with that family member or that friend because they cannot help them without hurting themselves. And that is not a selfish thing to do. That is a very strong, difficult thing to do and very important. I think that setting boundaries is important for yourself, but it's also important for others to see you setting boundaries because it is a way of modeling what appropriate boundaries look like. And how others react to your boundaries is none of your concern. That, like, as long as you're setting them properly and you're doing them in a good way, and I'm sure you're doing them in a very nice way and polite way. But if somebody has issue with your boundary, your only thing that you need to do is to communicate and hold that boundary. Because protecting yourself and your energy is number one. And showing yourself some self-compassion when you feel emotionally depleted, because you will feel more emotionally depleted than the average person, which sometimes people can view as a weakness, but it is not a weakness. It is a strength. I've worked in many jobs where this was viewed as a weakness. Only when I realized that this is my superpower, it's your superpower, that was I able to embrace it fully and care for myself. So show yourself some self-compassion, build those emotional boundaries, and disengage from conversations or people who do pull on pull you down. Right? There can be a lot of toxicity, and your jobs take care of you. Right? If this is resonating with you, any of these things so far, give it a like to let me know that this is what you like to see, and I'll make more videos like this. Okay. Now, the last one is a very important one, I think. And this is what I think is like a really, really big issue in the digital age is this expectation to always be on, right? We're super highly connected that we're supposed to always be reachable, and we have to always be productive, and we have to just go at a fast pace. It's just on. It's like resting makes us feel guilty because we should just always be doing something And even like we can't have hobbies anymore, right? Without somebody being like, are you going to monetize that hobby? Like, no, Gertrude, I just want to crochet in peace. I say that because I like to crochet. Although, yeah, I should probably show my crochets over here, but not sell them. You can look, but you can't buy. That was a really bad joke. I'm sorry. But yeah, what happens is we're always feeling we need to be on, and then feel guilt if we feel we need to rest or we do rest. And the problem is, you always want to be 100%. I have a lot of clients who are like, I don't understand why I'm tired. I don't understand why I'm emotional. I don't understand why I can't do things like I used to do things. Like when we were in our teen years or early 20s, we could do so much and now I can't. That's also like we're seeing it through a lens, and it's uh, not always showing reality. But the thing is, you cannot be 100% of the time. I'm going to repeat that. You cannot be 100% of the time. It's impossible. You are going to have ups and downs, and that's totally normal, that's totally okay, and that's totally healthy. You just need to respect your energy levels when they come. You don't always have to be on for somebody. And people will say things, let them talk. Are they happy? Do you want their lives? I bet you not. I bet you the people whose like input you actually value will not tell you this. But the people whose lives you don't even want to live are the ones who are going to be judgmental. So why are you listening to people whose lives you don't even want to live? So you do not always have to be on, and you have to redefine the word rest. That would be my what to do about it would be redefine the word rest. Rest, of course, we take care of ourselves. It's self-care, it's sleep, it's whatever. But rest is the only way that you can actually do the things you want to do. If you're worried you're going to fall behind if you rest, know that you're going to fall behind if you don't rest. Because when you don't rest, it's like having a computer that never goes on sleep mode. I'm going to use a computer example again. It never goes on sleep mode. It never gets turned off. It doesn't work as well after a while. Just like a light bulb, your light will dim. You need to take breaks. And not only because it's beneficial for you, but if you think about your work, it's beneficial for your work. It is in rest that we are able to think clearly, work through problems, take in information, really absorb it, and really make conclusions. So redefine what rest is, slow down, and disconnect. Disconnect. Like after you watch this video, only after you watch this video, why don't you turn off YouTube and do something else? And just disconnect. Take some time. Take time to reflect on what I've just shared with you and how you might use it in your own life. So these are all the ways that you are feeling exhausted. Obviously, there's a lot more. I could probably go on for a lot longer, but there's some of the ways that you're feeling exhausted, some of the reasons you're feeling exhausted, and some of the ways that you can work on it to improve your situation. I'm going to cough. I told you I had a cold. Anyway, if you need more support, I actually have some fun things coming up. I've got a 3-day time liberation challenge and a group mentorship program launching soon. If you want to hear about those, join my newsletter. You can sign up. It's free, and you'll be the first ones to know when that it launches, and you'll be the first ones to grab those opportunities. So keep living your authentic life. Bye.